All right, we're going to keep rolling along here with our driver press conference availability. We are joined by Tony Stewart, driver of the number 14 Office Depot Chevrolet. Tony, if you can just open up talking about being out here in Infineon Raceway and maybe how your car went in that first practice.
Not happy with first practice, but we got 2 more sessions and we'll see what we got. We never even got a qualifying run in. We were still working in race trim, so it'd be a big question mark where we qualify, but we like coming out here. It's one of my favorite places to come.
All right, and before we go to questions, I understand you have a special promotion this week with Office Depot. If you can just talk about that.
Yeah, we got the official Small Business of NASCAR courtesy of Office Depot sweepstakes that goes through July 10th, and at the Fall Dover race, myself and Greg Biffle will both have 2 small businesses on the back of on the TV panel of our back of our cars, and the small business with the highest finishing driver at Dover, whether it be Greg or myself, will be named the official Small Business of NASCAR. And if Greg or myself would happen to win the race, then it's $1 million bonus to that small business. So it's pretty cool. You can go to OfficeDepotRacing.com and submit your entry for any small business. So it's something that's like hitting the lottery for a small business. It gives you a chance to really have a big day.
Sounds like a good deal. Let's go ahead and open up to questions. Please raise your hand and start with your name and affiliation. Kenny?
Kenny Bruce of SingDaily.com. Tony, at most tracks, you guys try to set your car up to handle really well at a particular point. When you get to here or Watkins Glen, I mean, with as many turns as everything as they have, where do you want your car to really work well at to be competitive?
Everywhere. Because as crazy as these guys will be driving Sunday, you got to be good everywhere. If you're weak at some point, somebody's going to go in there and probably door slam you or something. So I was watching tapes this last week of it, and if you get back from about 4th on back, it's a no-holds-barred wrestling match. So we've been working on trying to get it good everywhere, and we've got it good nowhere so far. So that's going to be the focus for tomorrow.
Jay Hart, Yahoo Sports. Can you compare the level of competition here at specifically, I guess, at Infineon or at Watkins Glen today versus where it was maybe 5, 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah, it's definitely getting better. I mean, there's more guys putting more effort and emphasis on their road course programs for the 2 races. But looking at the sheet today, guys that have struggled in the past are really going good today. So it shows that it's definitely picked up quite a bit.
Tim Jeffries, KFOX Radio. Tony, last year one of the best finishes here at Infineon Raceway with you and Casey battling out. Any thoughts on maybe how you could have done something different last year than after you were looking at tapes from last year's race, or thoughts on the dual starts, the dual line?
I'll be honest, I think we did everything that we could do. I mean, I think there was something that we felt like setup-wise we missed starting the race, but that wasn't anything that during the race we could fix. I mean, it was something that had to be done before the race. So I felt like we ran as good a race as we could run, just Casey was that much better.
Let's go upstairs. Do we have any questions for Tony upstairs?
No questions.
All right, we'll come back down here.
Hey, Tony, Eric Branch the Santa Rosa Press-Democrat. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think that either last year's race or 2 years ago, you were somewhat critical of saying this probably wasn't the most fan-friendly race, just because it was hard to pass and everything. Do you think there will be any difference this year just with the new guidelines letting you guys race a little bit more?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what we got when we run Sunday. If I knew the answer to that, I'd be a bookie in Las Vegas, so I had information like that and knew what it was going to be like. I mean, it was every race is different here. I mean, they're not all the same. The scenarios are always different, so the face of the race kind of changes each time. But whatever race it was I was talking about that particular year, it probably was.
Any other questions for Tony? Back up here to Kenny, then we'll go back to Claire.
Tony, you said you guys didn't get any runs in qualifying trim out there. Do you feel pretty good that even if you don't qualify well, that you can make your way through the field? I mean, if your car's handling well, is it relatively easy to still get through?
If your car's driving good, you can get there. It's just a matter of how much carnage are you going to have to drive through to get to it. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on, especially the restarts, the corners that, you have high speed and then you go to a slow speed corner. It seems to get stacked up and a lot of congestion. And, it's not the deal where, it's just a lot of guys get themselves in bad positions in those areas. So if you get stuck in the back at the start, I mean, you definitely, if you can take care of your car, you can definitely get there. It's not, I don't feel like it's a situation like you can't get there, but it's hard to do it with a straight race car. You're going to get it bent up probably in the process of going through.
Claire.
Claire Belang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. Ryan Newman said that this race separates the men from the boys, talks about hustling the car through the racetrack or through the turns on the track. And Clint Boyer talks about watching somebody screw up in front of you and then laughing, and then it happens to you, you know, when you have your turn at it. Can you talk about some things that have happened to you, or the hustling of the car and how physically grueling it is and what it's like to race here?
Well, you know, it's definitely one of the places where we get probably the least amount of downtime as far as being able to let your arms relax and your mind relax for a second. You don't really have long enough straightaways here where you're not doing something, whether it's shifting or you know, having to get ready for a big braking zone. But it's a very, very busy racetrack, and it's one of those tracks that you know, physically at the end of the day you're tired. When you know, you don't feel tired in the car, but when you get out of the car you're like, man, I feel tired now. But you know, mentally it's just you've got to be sharp all day, because it's easy to make a little mistake, and a little mistake sometimes can be really big here. I mean, you drop off at a certain spot on the racetrack, and you're going to have a pretty bad day out of it. So it's one that requires that you not use your focus. Yeah, I do. Like what, Claire? What are you asking? Yeah, I love the hustling of the car. I mean, that's what I do. I drive race cars. I love to drive race cars, and I like being in situations where I got to push myself, and this is one of those places where you can do that. You've just got to be on your game, and you got to push all day long. But at the same time, there's times when you watch guys, and like Clint said, you see them make that mistake, and you laugh at them, because you know they're going to keep doing it over and over, and 5 laps later you're going to drive by them. But it's one you got to be aggressive, but at the same time it's easy to drive the tires off the car at this track, and with that, you know, there's guys that want to manhandle them and wrestle them around, and they can do that for 4 or 5 laps, but when their tires start wearing out, then they're in trouble. So it's yeah, I like the manhandling part of it, but at the same time I like being good for the whole race here, and I think we've run our history and our track record here shows that we've been pretty smart about doing that.